Hello, this is Doug Chapman for Campus Insiders. If you didn't watch CI Live today, you missed one hell of a show. Starring myself, Pete Futak, Shea Pepler is the host, Drew Nicholas was our basketball analyst. Phenomenal show. Today I talked about a little bit of the upcoming NFL Combine. We've been getting into position players. We did running backs yesterday. Today is defensive linemen. So I gave my top 5 defensive linemen and little nuggets behind why I think these guys are so good. Let's start at number 1, Jadeveon Clowney. Now, to me, he should be the number 1 overall pick in the draft. There's no question about his talent. He has freakish athletic ability. You don't see players like him come around very often. Julius Peppers, like, if you want to go back a little further, he reminds me of Javon Curse. They called him the freak. He's bigger than Curse, a little smaller than Peppers when it comes to body weight, but he's just as athletic. He should be the number 1 overall pick, clear cut. I love you, Johnny Manziel, but you're not number 1. The second best D lineman, I got to go with Aaron Donald. He's short, but so is John Randle. And John Randle's in the Hall of Fame, was a teammate of mine at Minnesota. Very strong at the point of contact. He was on a team that wasn't very good, and teams schemed for him week in and week out, but he consistently made plays. He beat O-linemen like a drum at the Senior Bowl. Timmy Jernigan, number 3, from Florida State. He's a guy for a 300-pound man. I haven't seen people move that well. People didn't know how well he'd do this season when Werner, Carradine, and Jenkins went to the NFL. But he's very, very active, doesn't come off the field. His conditioning is good. And when I watched him in that national championship game, he really reminded me almost of like a Warren Sapp type, how many plays he was making in the opponent's backfield. Very active player. You can move him inside, 3 technique. You can put him man up. I think he's even athletic enough to put out on the edge sometimes in certain schemes, get after the passer. Lewis Nix, number 4. He would be higher on this list, but he's got a bad knee. He's actually got platelet plasma replacement therapy going on, which is very serious for a man that size, but he's huge. He's athletic, and when he's focused, he's one of the best defensive linemen in all of college football. But when they give him that physical there in Indy, you never know how that's going to go, especially when he got bad knees. So he slid down my list, number 4. And then Coney Ealy, number 5, from Missouri, played opposite of a guy you might have heard of by the name of Michael Sam. Now, Michael Sam got all the sacks, but the prototypical pass rusher is Coney Ealy. He's huge. He's probably the only player that I can physically compare to Jadeveon Clowney when it comes to athleticism. They look the same, but Clowney is a much better pass rusher. Ealy is actually more of a left defensive end, so he'd be to your offense's right. He plays the run very well, but a team could get him into camp, teach him some pass rush moves. He'll be a much better player. The guy that could slide into my top 5, depending on his workouts, is Minnesota's Rashid Hageman. If you look at this guy, take the pads off of him, you'd think he was a bodybuilder. He's huge. He has the body to play in a 3-4 scheme and a 4-3. But I don't know if he has what it takes to be a consistent pass rusher. 2-gap player in a 3-4 scheme, plays the run very well, but kind of raw. But if you look at him physically, a team may take him because he's so versatile and he's so big. I would have had Florida's Dominique Easley in this mix if he had not had the other knee injury. He was a top 5 can't-miss prospect going into this year. Played on a pretty bad Florida defense, and he was playing well until the knee. It's just when these big fellas get these knee injuries, you can never guarantee how they're going to come out. So you wish him the best. You hope he's healthy enough to even have the type of workout he wants to have for scouts. And, at the end of this, you talk about D linemen, you can't skip over Michael Sam. People talk about Michael Sam, how they don't think he'll be a good player in the NFL. Now, listen to me. You don't end up being the co-defensive player of the year in the best conference in college football, the SEC, if you can't play. He's 6'1.5", about 250 pounds. He's the same size as Clay Matthews, Terrell Suggs, James Harrison. He's the same size as Sean Phillips when he came out of Purdue. Those guys get after the passer pretty well. If he gets into a 3-4 scheme, they put him on the edge, and they have him come off the ball. Even if you bring him in on 3rd down on packages, he can fit in. Now it's just up to a general manager and an owner and a head coach to get together and say, we're comfortable enough to bring this guy in. So, those are my top 5 defensive linemen with some guys on the outskirts, some guys to keep an eye on. Keep an eye on Campus Insiders, and make sure you check out my YouTube channel at Doug Chapman Insiders.